Flight attendants are safety professionals who ensure passenger comfort and security during flights. The job requires training, professionalism, and dedication to customer service. But behind the friendly smiles and polite service are some of the weirdest, most controlling, and absurdly specific rules that employees in any industry must follow. 1. Flight attendants must maintain specific weight requirements proportional to their height and can be grounded or fired for exceeding limits. The weight monitoring happens through regular weigh-ins that determine flight eligibility. Attendants who gain weight beyond allowable ranges are placed on unpaid leave until they lose it. The body size regulations are strictly enforced despite being controversial and potentially discriminatory. Some airlines require monthly weigh-ins with documentation and warnings for weight gain. The weight rules apply regardless of health, fitness level, or body composition. Attendants have been terminated for failing to meet weight requirements even after years of service. The regulations are justified as safety requirements, but function as appearance standards. The constant weight monitoring creates eating disorders and unhealthy relationships with food among cabin crew. 2. Flight attendants cannot have visible tattoos and must cover any markings with makeup or long sleeves regardless of temperature. The tattoo ban extends to small, tasteful designs that would be acceptable in most professional settings. Attendants spend significant time and money covering tattoos with special makeup before every shift. The rules apply even to tattoos in areas rarely visible to passengers. Some airlines have fired attendants for tattoos discovered after hiring. The covering requirement applies throughout entire shifts lasting 12+ hours in varying conditions. Religious or cultural tattoos receive no exemptions from the blanket ban. The tattoo policies are slowly changing, but remain strict at most major airlines. Attendants have hidden tattoos for entire careers to avoid termination. 3. Specific hairstyle requirements dictate acceptable cuts, colors, and styling, with detailed guy specifications for hair length and appearance. Natural hair must be styled in approved configurations, detailed in grooming manuals. Hair color must be natural looking, which is subjectively enforced by supervisors. Updos must be executed in specific styles, not just any bun or ponytail. Hair length is regulated with maximum lengths requiring specific styling. Bangs must be above eyebrows or properly secured. Gray hair policies vary, but some airlines require covering or coloring. Male attendants face equally strict requirements about length and styling. The hair regulations are checked during uniform inspections before flights. Non-compliance results in being sent home without pay. 4. Makeup is mandatory for female flight attendants with specific requirements for colors, application, and products used. The makeup rules specify that lips must be colored in specific shade ranges. Foundation must be worn to create uniform complexion, regardless of natural skin. Eye makeup is required with specific colors approved for different uniform combinations. The makeup must remain fresh-looking throughout entire shift, requiring mid-flight touch-ups. Some airlines provide specific makeup palettes that must be used. Male attendants are forbidden from wearing any makeup, creating different standards. The mandatory makeup applies even on overnight positioning flights without passengers. Attendants have been sent home for insufficient or incorrect makeup application. The beauty standards are enforced through regular appearance checks by supervisors. 5. Flight attendants must smile constantly throughout flights and can be written up for insufficient positive facial expressions. The smile requirement is literally in job descriptions and training materials. Supervisors and passengers can report attendants for not smiling enough. The constant smiling is required even during difficult passenger interactions or personal distress. Airlines train attendants that smile is part of uniform that must never be removed. The emotional labor of mandatory happiness, regardless of circumstances, causes significant stress. Attendants must smile while dealing with drunk passengers, crying babies, and rude travelers. The smile policing extends to rest times when deadheading or during boarding chaos. Natural resting face is considered unprofessional and subject to discipline. The requirement to display constant happiness regardless of reality is exhausting and dehumanizing. 6. Nail polish is mandatory and must be in specific approved colors that coordinate with airline uniforms. The nails must be manicured with no chips, breaks, or imperfections visible. Natural nails must be maintained at specific lengths, not too long, not too short. The polish colors are limited to reds, pinks, and neutrals in exact approved shades. Attendants must maintain perfect manicures throughout multi-day trips, despite hand washing and work demands. French manicures are often banned despite being neutral and professional. Gel or acrylic nails may be prohibited or required depending on airline. Male attendants must have trimmed, clean nails but cannot wear polish. The nail requirements are inspected during pre-flight uniform checks. Non-compliant nails result in being grounded until corrected. 7. Flight attendants cannot eat or drink in view of passengers even during long flights when they're hungry or thirsty. The eating restriction applies even on 12-hour international flights. Attendants must hide in galleys or lavatories to quickly consume food. The rule applies even when passengers are sleeping or not looking. Drinking water must be done discreetly to maintain professional appearance. The eating restriction means attendants often go hours without proper meals. Quick bites grabbed in galleys don't constitute adequate nutrition for physical job demands. The rule exists to maintain illusion that attendants don't have human needs. Passengers eating full meals while attendants can't even drink water visibly highlights the double standard. The eating restrictions contribute to health problems from irregular meal timing and inadequate nutrition. 8. Specific undergarment regulations dictate what must be worn under uniforms, including color, style, and brand requirements. Nude or skin-toned undergarments are mandatory even if not visible through clothing. Specific bra styles are required with prohibitions on certain cuts or features. Hosiery regulations specify denier, color, and style of stockings that must be worn. The undergarment rules extend to items passengers will never see. Some airlines require specific brands be purchased at employee expense. Male attendants face similar regulations about undershirts and sock requirements. The intimate clothing requirements are detailed in multi-page grooming manuals. Supervisors can inspect undergarments during uniform checks. The invasion of privacy extends literally under clothing. 9. Flight attendants must maintain specific posture and body positioning, including how they stand, sit, and gesture during service. Standing positions must include specific feet placement and hand positions. Sitting requires crossed ankles, never crossed legs, with specific postures maintained. Hand gestures are regulated with certain motions prohibited as unprofessional. Leaning, slouching, or relaxed positions are forbidden even during long flights. The body positioning must be maintained even when exhausted during hour 10 of a shift. Pointing is often prohibited, requiring open hand directional gestures instead. The physical restrictions cause back and foot problems from unnatural sustained positions. Attendants are trained and monitored on proper body positioning throughout careers. Natural, comfortable body positions are replaced with choreographed physical presentation. 10. Jewelry restrictions limit what attendants can wear to specific pieces in approved styles and quantities. Wedding rings are allowed, but engagement rings often prohibited due to stone size or setting. Earrings must be studs of specific size with hoops and dangles banned. Necklaces are prohibited or limited to specific simple styles. Bracelets are usually completely banned as potential safety hazards. The jewelry rules are strictly enforced with no exceptions for sentimental or religious items. Male attendants typically face complete jewelry bans except wedding rings. Watches must be specific professional styles without athletic or casual designs. The restrictions apply even to small, tasteful pieces that would be professional elsewhere. Religious jewelry often receives no exemption from blanket bans. 11. Flight attendants cannot acknowledge or discuss celebrity passengers, no matter how famous they are. The confidentiality rules prohibit mentioning celebrity passengers even after flights end. Attendants can be fired for taking photos or requesting autographs. Social media posts about celebrity sightings violate confidentiality agreements. The rule applies even to friendly interactions initiated by celebrities themselves. Attendants must treat famous passengers identically to regular travelers without acknowledgement. Breach of celebrity confidentiality is grounds for immediate termination. The rules extend to not telling family and friends about famous passengers encountered. Some airlines require signing specific NDAs about high-profile travelers. The confidentiality violations have resulted in public firings as examples. 12. Specific shoe requirements mandate heel height, style, and color with regular inspections of footwear condition. Female attendants must wear heels of specific height ranges, not too high, not too flat. The shoe style must match uniform with only approved colors and designs permitted. Shoes must be maintained in perfect condition with scuffs or wear grounds for replacement. The heel requirement applies even during 12-hour shifts, causing foot and back problems. Comfortable shoes that don't meet aesthetic standards are prohibited. Male attendants have similarly strict dress shoe requirements. The footwear rules prioritize appearance over comfort and health. Attendants spend hundreds on approved shoes that wear out quickly. Non-compliant shoes result in being sent home to change before working. 13. Flight attendants must maintain specific voice volume, tone, and speaking patterns during all passenger interactions. The vocal training includes speaking at specific volumes regardless of ambient noise. Tone must remain pleasant and upbeat even during stressful situations. Certain phrases and word choices are mandatory while others are prohibited. Regional accents must be minimized in favor of neutral standard speech. The voice requirements apply during announcements and individual interactions. Attendants cannot raise voices even when passengers are rude or situations escalate. The speaking patterns are practiced during training and monitored throughout careers. Natural speaking voices are replaced with corporate-approved vocal presentations. The constant vocal performance is exhausting and feels inauthentic. 14. Flight attendants cannot refuse service to difficult passengers except in specific safety situations, despite verbal abuse. The service continues even when passengers are rude, demanding, or insulting. Attendants must remain professional and pleasant regardless of how they're treated. The inability to defend themselves or refuse service creates powerless dynamic. Only extreme safety threats allow refusal of service or removal of passengers. Verbal abuse doesn't meet threshold for service refusal. Attendants must continue serving passengers who have insulted or harassed them. The requirement to endure mistreatment is explicit in airline policies. The inability to set boundaries enables passenger abuse. Attendants feel dehumanized by requirement to accept any treatment short of physical threat. 15. Specific luggage and bag requirements for flight attendants include approved roller bag dimensions, colors, and brands. The crew luggage must be specific airline-approved models purchased at employee expense. Personal bags during layovers must meet appearance standards even when off-duty. The luggage color must coordinate with uniforms, usually black or navy. Worn or damaged crew bags must be replaced immediately. The approved luggage is often expensive and must be purchased from specific vendors. Attendants cannot use practical bags that don't meet aesthetic standards. The luggage requirements extend to personal items carried during flights. Non-compliant bags result in discipline despite being functional. The control extends even to personal belongings brought to work. 16. Flight attendants must maintain specific body language and cannot cross arms, lean on walls, or display casual postures. Crossed arms are prohibited as appearing defensive or unapproachable. Leaning or lounging is forbidden even during long flights or delays. Body language must project constant readiness and professionalism. Relaxed postures are prohibited even during rest breaks. The body language monitoring happens through supervisor observation and passenger reports. Natural, comfortable positions are replaced with formal stances maintained for hours. The physical restrictions contribute to fatigue and body strain. Attendants are trained extensively on appropriate body positioning. The inability to relax physically even briefly is exhausting. 17. Flight attendants cannot become visibly ill or show signs of sickness and must maintain composure even when feeling terrible. The expectation is maintaining professional appearance regardless of physical condition. Attendants work through illness because calling out is heavily penalized. Visible signs of sickness like coughing or sneezing must be minimized. The requirement to appear healthy applies even during flu or illness. Attendants cannot sit down or rest when feeling unwell during flights. The company pressure to work sick spreads illness to coworkers and passengers. Some attendants have worked through serious illness due to attendance policies. The inability to acknowledge physical suffering is expected as professionalism. The requirement to hide human physical conditions is unrealistic and unhealthy. 18. Specific rules govern exactly how beverages must be poured, served, and presented, including cup placement and pouring technique. The beverage service follows exact procedures detailed in training manuals. Drinks must be poured to specific fill levels. Not too full, not too little. Ice must be served in specific quantities with drinks. The cup and napkin placement follows exact specifications. Bottle and can opening must follow specific techniques and timing. Wine service requires exact pouring amounts and glass handling. The beverage presentation is choreographed down to hand positioning. Deviation from standard service procedures results in retraining. The micromanagement extends to basic tasks like pouring drinks. 19. Flight attendants must memorize and use exact scripted phrases for announcements and common interactions without deviation. The announcements must be delivered word for word from approved scripts. Personal variations or natural phrasing are prohibited. The scripts apply to safety briefings, service offerings, and passenger interactions. Attendants are disciplined for deviating from exact approved language. The robotic repetition of scripts dehumanizes natural communication. Passengers notice and comment on the scripted artificial interactions. The inability to use natural language feels degrading. Some scripts become outdated but must still be used exactly. The language control removes individuality and authenticity from interactions. 20. Flight attendants cannot date or have relationships with passengers even after flights end and off duty. The relationship prohibition extends beyond working hours to personal life. Attendants have been fired for dating passengers they met on flights. The rule applies even to chance meetings outside of work context. Social media connections with passengers can violate relationship policies. The dating ban is difficult to enforce, but violations result in termination. The restriction on personal relationships extends beyond duty hours. Some airlines prohibit relationships with pilots and other crew members. The control over personal romantic life is invasive overreach. The policies treat adult employees like children incapable of professional boundaries. 21. Specific bidding and scheduling rules mean flight attendants have minimal control over their schedules for years. Junior attendants cannot hold regular schedules or desirable routes. The seniority system means years of terrible hours before schedule improvement. Christmas, holidays, and weekends are mandated for junior crew without choice. The bidding process is complex, with no guarantee of getting requested flights. Standby or reserve duty requires being available 24/7 without specific schedule. The inability to plan personal life around unpredictable schedule causes stress. Schedule changes happen with minimal notice, disrupting personal plans. Some attendants go decades before holding preferred schedules. The lack of schedule control impacts family life and personal well-being. 22. Flight attendants must pass regular weight checks, appearance inspections, and grooming reviews to maintain employment. The regular inspections happen without warning to catch violations. Weight fluctuations result in probation periods and potential termination. Appearance standards are subjectively enforced by different supervisors. The inspection process is humiliating and degrading. Attendants can be sent home for minor grooming violations, losing days' pay. The constant monitoring creates anxiety about physical appearance. The inspections focus heavily on weight and beauty standards. Failed inspections result in retraining or probation. The scrutiny of physical appearance is constant throughout career. 23. Flight attendants cannot discuss pay, working conditions, or airline policies with passengers no matter what is asked. The prohibition on discussing employment conditions applies even to casual questions. Attendants must deflect or refuse to answer questions about their jobs. Discussing union activities or labor disputes is strictly forbidden. The gag rule prevents attendants from advocating for better conditions. Passengers asking innocent questions receive corporate non-answers. The inability to honestly discuss working reality maintains false image. Violations of the discussion policy result in discipline. The restriction on communication extends to social media and personal conversations. The silencing of workers prevents public understanding of employment conditions. 24. Specific rest requirements are legally mandated, but airlines push boundaries with minimal rest between long flights. The required rest periods are calculated to absolute legal minimums. Attendants may have only 8 to 10 hours between international flights, barely enough for sleep. The rest period includes travel time to and from hotel, reducing actual rest. Hotels are often far from airports, consuming rest time with transportation. Layovers provide insufficient recovery time before next duty period. The fatigue from insufficient rest creates safety and health problems. Airlines schedule to legal minimums rather than adequate rest. Attendants work exhausted due to inadequate recovery time. The minimum rest rules are followed technically while being insufficient practically. 25. Flight attendants must maintain social media accounts according to strict guidelines and can be fired for posts. Personal social media is monitored for content reflecting on airline. Posting in uniform or identifiable as employee requires extreme caution. Negative comments about airline, working conditions, or passengers violate policies. Photos from flights or mentioning work details can result in termination. The social media policies extend to personal accounts and off-duty posts. Attendants have been fired for posts airline deemed inappropriate. The monitoring of personal social media is extensive and invasive. Freedom of speech is restricted even in personal online spaces. The control extends from workplace into personal digital life. 26. Flight attendants cannot sit down during boarding or deplaning, even during delays lasting hours. Standing is required throughout passenger boarding process, regardless of duration. The no sitting rule applies even when boarding is delayed for mechanical issues. Attendants must remain standing and appearing ready despite hours-long waits. Only specific rest breaks allow sitting, and these are minimal. The prolonged standing causes foot, leg, and back problems. Passengers may sit comfortably while attendants must stand. The rule exists purely for appearance despite lack of actual duties during delays. Attendants have developed chronic pain from excessive standing requirements. The arbitrary rule prioritizes appearance over employee health and comfort. 27. Specific manual and guide compliance requires following hundreds of pages of procedures for every aspect of job. The manuals contain absurdly detailed procedures for basic tasks. Attendants must know obscure rules that rarely apply but are tested on. Procedure violations result in discipline even when outcomes are positive. The manual complexity makes full compliance nearly impossible. Some procedures contradict others, creating no-win situations. Supervisors enforce different interpretations of the same rules. The rulebooks grow continuously with new requirements. Attendants are expected to know all procedures despite constant changes. The procedural burden is overwhelming and often impractical. 28. Flight attendants must pass regular emergency procedure testing and can be fired for failing recurrent training. Annual training requires passing multiple tests on emergency procedures. Failure results in termination regardless of years of service. The training happens on personal time without compensation. The emergency procedures are extensive and constantly updated. Testing anxiety causes capable attendants to fail and lose jobs. The pass-fail nature means no partial credit or second chances. Training requirements increase while compensation doesn't. The recurrent training burden is a significant annual requirement. Long-serving attendants have been terminated for training failures. 29. Flight attendants cannot refuse to clean lavatories or deal with bodily fluids despite lack of appropriate hazmat training. Cleaning bathrooms is expected duty regardless of horrific conditions. Dealing with vomit, blood, and other fluids happens without proper protective equipment. The cleaning duties happen while maintaining professional appearance and uniform. Attendants are expected to clean dangerous messes, then immediately serve food. The lack of appropriate cleaning supplies and protection creates health risks. Refusing cleaning duties results in discipline despite safety concerns. The expectation to handle biohazards extends beyond reasonable job duties. Some messes require professional cleaning, but attendants must handle them. The degrading and dangerous cleaning requirements are non-negotiable. 30. Specific uniform regulations require wearing exact pieces in exact combinations without substitution or variation. The uniform must be worn exactly as specified with no personal touches. Pieces cannot be mixed from different uniform sets. Alterations must be approved and meet specific standards. Worn uniform pieces must be replaced at employee expense. The uniform requirements include specific undergarments and accessories. Personal comfort is secondary to exact uniform presentation. Hot or cold conditions don't allow uniform adaptations. The uniform inflexibility causes discomfort in varying conditions. Non-compliant uniform wearing results in being sent home without pay. 31. Flight attendants must maintain perfect teeth and are required to have dental work done to meet appearance standards. Visible dental imperfections must be corrected at employee expense. Missing teeth or significant dental problems result in grounding until fixed. Cosmetic dental work may be required for continued employment. The dental requirements extend beyond health to aesthetic standards. Some airlines have specific tooth color and alignment requirements. The cost of required dental work is not reimbursed. Attendants have taken loans to pay for mandatory dental procedures. The dental standards are enforced through visual inspections. Natural dental variations are considered appearance violations. 32. Flight attendants cannot carry personal items or bags in passenger view and must hide all personal belongings. Personal phones must be concealed when in passenger areas. Water bottles and snacks must be hidden from passenger sight. The prohibition on visible personal items maintains service illusion. Attendants cannot reference personal lives or individual needs in passenger view. Personal medications must be taken secretly. The requirement to hide humanity extends to basic personal needs. Even emergency personal items must be concealed. The invisibility of personal existence is expected presentation. The denial of individual human needs maintains corporate image. 33. Specific language requirements for international routes require fluency testing and maintenance of language skills. Attendants must maintain fluency in assigned languages without company support. Language testing happens regularly with failures resulting in route removal. The expectation is maintaining skills on personal time without compensation. Multiple languages may be required for international routes. Loss of language qualification impacts earning potential and schedule. No company-provided language training or maintenance exists. Attendants pay for language classes to maintain job requirements. The language burden is significant ongoing requirement. Fluency standards are strictly enforced through testing. 34. Flight attendants must maintain specific walking pace and movement patterns through cabin during service. Walking speed must appear unhurried but efficient. Running or rushing is prohibited even during service pressure. The gait and movement must appear graceful regardless of turbulence or obstacles. Certain walking patterns en route through cabin are prescribed. Quick movements appear unprofessional despite service demands. The choreographed movement extends to basic walking. Natural walking patterns are replaced with trained movements. Supervisors observe and correct walking patterns. The micromanagement extends to how employees physically move. 35. Flight attendants cannot show visible emotion beyond positive expressions, regardless of situations encountered. Crying, anger, frustration, or fear must be concealed from passengers. Emergency situations require calm demeanor even when frightened. Personal emergencies cannot show on face during duty. The emotional suppression applies throughout shifts regardless of personal circumstances. Maintaining emotional facade during traumatic events is expected. The requirement to hide genuine emotions is psychologically exhausting. Attendants process traumatic events later without support. The emotional labor of constant positive affect regardless of reality causes burnout. Natural human emotional responses are prohibited as unprofessional. 36. Specific grooming time requirements mean attendants must arrive ready with complete grooming before shift starts. The grooming preparation is unpaid time before sign-in. Attendants must arrive with hair, makeup, and uniform perfect. The preparation time can require arriving hours early. No grooming or preparation is allowed on company time. The unpaid preparation time is significant time commitment. Rushing preparation risks discipline for appearance violations. The grooming requirements extend pre-shift time commitment. Early flights require waking hours early for preparation. The unpaid time for mandatory grooming is substantial annual hours. 37. Flight attendants must memorize passenger names, preferences, and details for premium cabin service without notes. The expectation is remembering multiple passenger details throughout long flights. Mistakes in passenger recognition or preferences are service failures. The memory requirements increase with cabin size and flight length. Notes or cheat sheets are prohibited as unprofessional. Attendants develop memory techniques to track passenger information. The mental load of remembering dozens of details adds to job stress. Passenger expectations of personalized service require extensive memory work. Forgetting passenger details receives complaints. The requirement to remember extensive personal information without aids is challenging. 38. Flight attendants cannot discuss fatigue, exhaustion, or difficulty with job demands with passengers or publicly. Admitting tiredness or difficulty is strictly prohibited. The requirement is maintaining appearance of easy perfection. Discussing challenging aspects of job violates corporate image. Exhaustion cannot be visible or mentioned regardless of reality. The pretense that job is effortless must be maintained. Acknowledging human limitations is considered unprofessional. The inability to be honest about job demands maintains false perception. Passengers remain unaware of physical and mental demands on crew. The forced positivity about job difficulty is dishonest. 39. Specific cash handling and payment procedures require exact accounting, with personal liability for shortages. Attendants are personally responsible for any cash discrepancies. Payment processing follows exact procedures with no flexibility. Shortages come from personal pay regardless of cause. The stress of perfect cash handling adds pressure during service. Credit card processing must follow exact procedures. Payment mistakes result in discipline and financial liability. The financial responsibility for company money creates significant stress. Some attendants avoid cash handling duties due to liability. The personal financial risk for processing payments is unreasonable. 40. Flight attendants must maintain company loyalty and cannot work for competing airlines even on days off. The exclusivity requirement prevents supplemental income from aviation work. Attendants cannot fly standby on other airlines without approval. Company loyalty extends beyond working hours to personal choices. Working for competitors results in immediate termination. The restriction limits employment options and income potential. Some attendants have multiple jobs but cannot work in aviation elsewhere. The company demands exclusive employment relationship. The loyalty requirements restrict personal economic freedom. Career development at other airlines is prohibited. 41. Specific passenger interaction rules prohibit friendships or ongoing relationships with regular travelers. Personal relationships with passengers violate professional boundaries. Exchanging contact information with passengers is prohibited. The boundaries extend beyond flights to preventing post-flight connections. Regular business travelers cannot become personal friends. Social media connections with passengers discovered result in discipline. The prohibition on relationships extends professional boundaries to extremes. Natural, friendly interactions are restricted by relationship rules. Attendants must remain distant despite repeated positive interactions. The antisocial policies prevent human connection. 42. Flight attendants must pass regular physical fitness tests and maintain ability to perform emergency procedures. Physical testing includes strength and endurance requirements. Failures result in medical leave or termination. The fitness standards continue throughout careers regardless of age. Some requirements are difficult to maintain as attendants age. No accommodations for aging or physical changes are provided. The testing happens regularly throughout careers. Physical inability to meet requirements ends careers. The fitness requirements are strictly enforced. Aging attendants face difficult physical standards. 43. Specific rules about accepting tips prohibit flight attendants from receiving compensation beyond salary. Tips or gifts from passengers must be refused. Accepting money results in termination for bribery. The no-tipping culture means excellent service receives no additional compensation. Passengers offering tips are refused despite good intentions. The policy prevents rewards for exceptional service. Some international passengers customarily tip, but attendants must refuse. The inability to accept tips limits earning potential. Service quality provides no financial incentive. The prohibition extends to all forms of passenger compensation. 44. Flight attendants cannot refuse assignments to flights or destinations and must accept all assigned trips. Schedule changes happen with minimal notice requiring flexibility. Refusing assignments results in discipline or termination. Personal circumstances cannot override company scheduling needs. Last-minute schedule changes disrupt personal plans. Attendants must be available for any route or timing. The inability to refuse creates work-life balance problems. Schedule unpredictability makes personal planning impossible. Required availability extends to personal time through reserve duty. The complete control over attendant time is invasive. 45. And finally, flight attendants must maintain the illusion of perfection at all times, hiding any personal struggles, health issues, or human imperfections behind a flawless corporate mask. The expectation is superhuman perfection regardless of personal reality. Physical illness, mental health struggles, relationship problems, financial stress, family emergencies, all must be completely invisible behind the professional smile. Attendants cannot be human beings having normal human experiences while in uniform. The emotional labor of maintaining perfect facade regardless of internal reality is exhausting and unsustainable. Personal crises must be hidden while performing service with apparent joy. The requirement to be perfect automated service machines rather than humans creates psychological damage. Many attendants suffer in silence, unable to acknowledge struggles or ask for help. The wellness culture airlines promote publicly contrasts sharply with the demand for inhuman perfection from staff. Mental health problems develop from sustained emotional suppression and unrealistic performance demands. The requirement to hide all human vulnerability creates isolation and shame around normal struggles. Attendants develop coping mechanisms to maintain the illusion while falling apart privately. The mask of perfection becomes prison preventing authentic human existence, proving that the strangest rule isn't written in any manual. It's the unspoken demand that flight attendants surrender their humanity for a paycheck, transforming human beings into corporate performance automatons who must hide every flaw, every struggle, every moment of imperfection behind a smile that never fades, even when everything inside is breaking. These bizarre flight attendant rules prove that the job is far more controlled and restrictive than passengers ever realize. What makes these rules particularly difficult is their cumulative effect. Individually restrictive, together they're suffocating control over every aspect of life. The lesson is that the friendly service you receive comes at a cost to the humans providing it, and that corporate control extends far beyond what's reasonable or necessary. Subscribe if you found these flight attendant rules as shocking as we did, and remember to appreciate the humans behind the uniforms who sacrifice so much to follow these absurd regulations.